All right, guys, I'm going to share my screen with you. We're just going to watch a quick video on YouTube, and hopefully you guys will find this informative. I thought it was a really good video. It's kind of a short introduction of how our immune system works, because I think that's one of the most important things to understand before we go any further.
A mosquito lands on your arm, injects its chemicals into your skin, and begins to feed. You wouldn't even know it was there if not for the red lump that appears, accompanied by a telltale itch. It's a nuisance, but that bump is an important signal that you're protected by your immune system, your body's major safeguard against infection, illness, and disease. This system is a vast network of cells, tissues, and organs that coordinate your body's defenses against any threats to your health. Without it, you'd be exposed to billions of bacteria, viruses, and toxins that could make something as minor as a paper cut or a seasonal cold fatal. The immune system relies on millions of defensive white blood cells, also known as leukocytes, that originate in our bone marrow. These cells migrate into the bloodstream and the lymphatic system, a network of vessels which helps clear bodily toxins and waste. Our bodies are teeming with leukocytes. There are between 4,000 and 11,000 in every microliter of blood. As they move around, leukocytes work like security personnel, constantly screening the blood, tissues, and organs for suspicious signs. This system mainly relies on cues called antigens. These molecular traces on the surface of pathogens and other foreign substances betray the presence of invaders. As soon as the leukocytes detect them, it takes only minutes for the body's protective immune response to kick in. Threats to our bodies are hugely variable, so the immune response has to be equally adaptable. That means relying on many different types of leukocytes to tackle threats in different ways. Despite this diversity, we classify leukocytes in two main cellular groups, which coordinate a two-pronged attack. First, phagocytes trigger the immune response by sending macrophages and dendritic cells into the blood. As these circulate, they destroy any foreign cells they encounter, simply by consuming them. That allows phagocytes to identify the antigen on the invaders they just ingested and transmit this information to the second major cell group orchestrating the defense, the lymphocytes. A group of lymphocyte cells called T cells go in search of infected body cells and swiftly kill them off. Meanwhile, B cells and helper T cells use the information gathered from the unique antigens to start producing special proteins called antibodies. This is the pièce de résistance. Each antigen has a unique matching antibody that can latch onto it like a lock and key and destroy the invading cells. B cells can produce millions of these, which then cycle through the body and attack the invaders until the worst of the threat is neutralized. While all of this is going on, familiar symptoms like high temperatures and swelling are actually processes designed to aid the immune response. A warmer body makes it harder for bacteria and viruses to reproduce and spread because they're temperature sensitive. And when body cells are damaged, they release chemicals that make fluid leak into the surrounding tissues, causing swelling. That also attracts phagocytes, which consume the invaders and the damaged cells. Usually, an immune response will eradicate a threat within a few days. It won't always stop you from getting ill, but that's not its purpose. Its actual job is to stop a threat from escalating to dangerous levels inside your body. And through constant surveillance over time, the immune system provides another benefit. It helps us develop long-term immunity. When B and T cells identify antigens, they can use that information to recognize invaders in the future. So when a threat revisits, the cells can swiftly deploy the right antibodies to tackle it before it affects any more cells. That's how you can develop immunity to certain diseases, like chickenpox. It doesn't always work so well. Some people have autoimmune diseases, which trick the immune system into attacking the body's own perfectly healthy cells. No one knows exactly what causes them, but these disorders sabotage the immune system to varying degrees and underlie problems like arthritis, type 1 diabetes, and multiple sclerosis. For most individuals, however, a healthy immune system will successfully fight off an estimated 300 colds and innumerable other potential infections over the course of a lifetime. Without it, those threats would escalate into something far more dangerous. So the next time you catch a cold or scratch a mosquito bite, think of the immune system. We owe it our lives. TED Ed is a nonprofit. If you value our work, please consider supporting it on Patreon.
All right. So, was that too boring for y'all? Are we all good? Oh, I can't hear you. That's right. You're on mute. Yeah. So really, I think it's really important that we understand how our immune system works, because with that understanding, I think it really helps us to understand what we can do to make it work better. And so essentially, we have these cells that are inside of our body that are just traveling around looking for these invaders, that are looking for the viruses, for the bacteria, for anything that's going to make us sick, anything that shouldn't be there. And when they find those, what they do is they eat them, as it talked about. They basically swallow them up, figure out what it is, and then they basically find a solution for it, how to kill it. They create these cells that are going to multiply really quickly, and then they're going to go attack it, and then they're going to kill it off. And so that's what should be happening in our body. This is one of those things that should be happening without us even knowing it oftentimes, that our bodies are constantly, we're constantly under attack. I mean, you walk outside, you go to Chick-fil-A, you go to the Y, you go to work, and you're exposed to so many different germs and diseases. And so what we want our bodies to be doing is to be fighting those things off instantly before they get to the point that they're going to make us really sick. And so there's some things that we can do that are going to make our body more responsive to the attacks. It's going to make our body able to make cells multiply faster. It's going to make us be able to kill these sicknesses faster. So things that, for right now, I mean, I feel like I hear people that are, that have the flu and it's taking like 2 weeks to get over it. We haven't had the flu in this house, luckily, so I'm glad. But the hope is that our bodies are strong enough that if we do encounter the flu virus, that we're able to fight it and move on quicker, and it's not going to take that full 14 days or whatever. And so that's kind of how our immune system works. And so a strong immune system is our best defense. It's our best defense against even things like cancer. And so I think a lot of times people think that we have no control over getting cancer, no control over what, what cancer does to us. But really our bodies, if we have a healthy functioning immune system, we should be able to fight cancer. Can you guys see my screen? Are we watching the PowerPoint? Can y'all see that? Yeah. Okay, good. So cancer cells are just like any other thing that's attacking our body. And so essentially what should be happening is that our body's going to be able to recognize those cancer cells, fight them immediately, zap them, get them out of your body. And it's not even a big deal, but it's something that's happening inside of your body every single day. Your body is creating those cancer cells. And so we should be able to just get them out. And it's how our immune system works. But when the problem happens is when our immune system stops recognizing it stops recognizing the cancer cells, and it also stops recognizing cells that are bad in general, and so they end up being able to multiply quicker, and our body's not responding the way it should be. And so just simply having a healthy immune system can help even in something like that. So I want you guys to think about the bubonic plague, the Black Death, and it killed about 25% of people in some parts of Europe, which basically means, though, that's horrible and like unbelievable to me that it killed 25% of people in some parts, but there were 75% of people that survived. And so you have to stop and ask, what was the difference? And the difference was a strong immune system. The Spanish flu, it killed millions of seemingly healthy adults, but other people never even got a sniffle. And so what was the difference? The difference in that instance as well was a healthy immune system. If you guys have heard or ever seen this, you've probably seen this in your own life, to where we have, you'll know an elderly couple, and one of, they've been married for 50 years, and then one of them will die from something. And then a lot of times within the next 6 months to a year, you'll see the other remaining spouse who's still alive will get something like cancer, and then we'll pass away shortly after. And it tends to happen because of basically a weakened immune system. And we're going to learn why here in just a minute. And so there are several things that weaken our immune system. This is like basic stuff. You guys have heard this, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. But the first thing that weakens our immune system is a poor diet. Only 3% of people are really getting the veggies that we need and the nutrients that we need. And also, we're eating too much sugar. Sugar tends to reduce our body's ability to fight within the next, anywhere from 1 to 4 hours after eating sugar, just like refined sugar, like a cookie, like I've had a lot of this week. Since I just had a baby, people give me cookies, which is wonderful, but it ends up meaning that we have way too much sugar and our immune systems can't fight as well. And so another one is lack of sleep. The majority of Americans reported not getting enough sleep, and that's just the way that we tend to live our life. We just overcrowd it. So we either get too much or too little exercise. Most of it's too little exercise. I think there's about 55% of us not getting enough exercise. Overweight and obesity, that tends to really reduce your immune system. Bad bacteria, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Most of our immune system originates in our gut, and so it's important that we do have healthy bacteria. And then another one is repeated antibiotic use can really hinder our immune system. And then the last one is stress and grief, which is kind of why you see that example with the elderly couple of one of them getting cancer just later after because of the stress and the grief that they've been through. And so it really just happens with an overproduction of cortisol from that stress, and that ends up weakening our immune system. So these things are simple, but I think it's profound to think that something as little as sleep could make a big difference in our immune health. And so I do feel like this is kind of elementary. We're not going to spend that much time on it, but some things that we can do for a good night's sleep is to turn off our electronics early, have no caffeine, within 6 hours of bedtime, avoid alcohol, exercise during the day. I mean, that's some of the basic things, guys, about sleep. I mean, y'all know that. And then stress. We're going to just talk about this, and then we'll get into the real fun stuff in just a minute. So stress really can affect our immune system. It suppresses the way our immune system works. That overproduction of cortisol that we talked about really can hinder our body functioning the way it's supposed to. And so this is America. I mean, we live in a high-stressed world that's not getting enough sleep. And so then we're going to talk, lastly, just about exercise and how that can really help boost your immune system. And really, y'all know this, but just finding exercises that you're going to enjoy and that you want to do to really get involved in that. And so some of the fun things that I like talking about, I mean, some of those things are basic, you know that, but some of the side that I think is more neglected is the nutrition side and the nutrients. And so there's a few things that really can help keep our bodies strong and keep them working. And so we're going to talk through some of those. So first of all, protein. Having a healthy source of protein is really good because as our body is fighting these sicknesses and these viruses that are in us, what tends to happen is our bodies we're creating new structures, we're creating new cells, okay? And so we need protein to create those cells. So having enough good sources of protein is going to help that. Obviously, fruits and vegetables. So it's not just the fruit and vegetable itself, but it's all the minerals that are in there, all the vitamins that are in these fruits and vegetables. The antioxidants are vitamin C, vitamin A. Those are all things that are going to help us fight. And then our healthy fats are a really big one as well. They're going to help because they're really giving our cells the nutrients that they need to be able to create the new cells to fight the sicknesses that we're faced with. And so next, I want to talk about the things that our immune system actually needs. Like, what are the vitamins that we do need and how do they work? And so B vitamins. So one thing that we talked about, so in that video that we watched earlier, we have the bad cells, essentially. So let's say, we're not going to go into the scientific names of everything because we'll all get confused. But so we have, let's say we have a virus or a bacteria that our body recognizes. And so then what's going to happen is it's going to figure out what it is. And then what those immune cells need to do is they need to be able to rapidly divide to be able to attach and kill the other things. And so the B vitamins are really going to help our immune cells to divide quicker. So you want your cells to be dividing quicker than the bacteria cells that are in you. So that's what B vitamins do. So our antioxidants are going to be really important. They're going to help immune cells. To really help and support those immune cells. The trace minerals, and this is getting boring, I'm sorry, y'all, we're going to keep going, like iron and zinc, they're required by important enzymes of the immune system. So these functions that your immune system is supposed to be doing, things like iron and zinc are going to be helping your immune system function faster. Vitamin A, it really helps prevent bacteria from even entering your body. And then vitamin D helps you build a resistance to cold and flu. And really helps within your bloodstream to be able to fight that. And then the protein, like we talked about, is going to help your body to be able to make new cells. Okay, and so one thing that you guys you've heard about is bacteria and probiotics and prebiotics and what are these. And so we're going to take a little bit of time on this because I think it is one of the most important things is our gut health and our bacteria that are in us. And so about 70% of your immune system starts in your intestine. And I've heard that anywhere from 70 to 80%. So in your digestive tract is where your ability to fight things is all happening. And so we get bad bacteria and yeast, and they all get established in the intestine, and it makes our bodies have a hard time fighting. And so the immune system is spending so much energy trying to fight off the bad guys, essentially, in our intestine, that it weakens the ability to fight off the bacteria in our bloodstream when we're presented with it. And so one of the best things that we can do is to have basically to keep the bad bacteria and the yeast out so that way our body can fight when it needs to. And so we can get this bad bacteria and this yeast, like overproduction of yeast from the foods that we eat. And basically the foods that we eat, they're going to turn into cancer-causing chemicals within our body. When they're not like nutritious foods. And so they end up releasing toxins into our bloodstream that affect our health. They can cause gas and bloating. And so then this is kind of what the bad bacteria in us does. And so then think about now we need the good bacteria, which is kind of like, our good posse. And so the idea is that they're going to crowd out the bad guys. So because our immune system doesn't have or energy, doesn't have to spend the time or the energy fighting the good guys, it can reverse the health effects of the bad guys, essentially. And so because you have so much good bacteria, we're going to start fighting the bad bacteria. That's what we want to be happening within our bodies. And so that makes sense. Anyone have any questions so far about how like the bacteria side of things works? You can unmute yourself if you do. So one thing I want to talk about quickly is prebiotics versus probiotics. And so there are two different things. So probiotics are basically like adding really good bacteria to your body. So we know that most of the immune system's in our gut. So by adding probiotics, we're adding good bacteria. So probiotics are going to be something that you can take orally, things that you can eat. So think like anything that's fermented. So sauerkraut. Yogurt, a lot of the commercially produced yogurt doesn't actually have good bacteria in it. But so yogurt, sauerkraut, anything that's fermented. So apple cider vinegar, these are all things that are going to be adding that good bacteria to you. And then the prebiotics it's basically like food for the probiotics. So we have all this good bacteria in us now, and the prebiotics are basically going to feed it. And so it's different indigestible fibers from food. So it's words you don't recognize, like inulin, and so it's harder to find the prebiotics. And so it is something that you can also take. It's in some foods like garlic and onions and stuff as well. And so I want to tell you guys a little bit about Shaklee and kind of some of the products that we found. But first I want to tell you about the company Shaklee in general. So then some of the products that we found will kind of make more sense of what they are. And so Shaklee was created about 100 years ago. Dr. Shaklee created the first multivitamin. And what he found was that he started giving his patients different plant substances, different plant extracts, and they were getting healed from various things. And so he created the first multivitamin. And then about 60 years ago, Shaklee, the company, was created off of that. And so currently, Shaklee has over 120 published papers and scientific presentations. They have 70 patents and patent pendings. And their biggest thing to me is their purity and their safety, that they're beyond organic. And so really they're dedicated to combining the best of science and nature and taking, being sure that everything that you're getting is pure and it's potent and it's not going to be filled with contaminants. And so Shaklee is not just one to follow trends. So like we talked a little bit about elderberry, and we're going to talk about that here in another few minutes. But to me right now, it seems like elderberry is a trend. It's very like people are just doing it. And so what I appreciate about Shaklee is the fact that they don't just follow trends, they follow science and what the science says, and they do their best to combine that with what's, products that are as close to nature as possible. And so that's kind of what the company is. And so my experience with Shaklee has been really incredible. From just as a company in general, we've seen, like my husband, Nick, he doesn't have joint pain anymore. I've completely gotten rid of my seasonal allergies, which I'll tell you about in a few minutes. And they're just, in general, we just feel better. And so there was a study called the Landmark Study that showed basically the different levels of how much better people's biomarkers for health were than people who were on Shaklee supplements and people who weren't on Shaklee supplements. And if you're interested in the science side of things, I can send this to you. But it was really remarkable to see how much better numbers people that were on Shaklee supplements were having to people that were on other brands or things that are no supplements at all. And so we're going to go back to the probiotics. So talk a little bit about that. And so this is Shaklee's probiotic, and this is the one that I've seen people have amazing response from. And what's different about this probiotic than something you're going to buy at the grocery store or at the health food store is this one's triple encapsulated. And what that means, if you look at this chart right here, the Shaklee probiotic versus the other two brands, and how much of it was actually making it to the intestine. So what happens is you'll take all these probiotics and they'll tell you that it's got, 1 billion or however many, germs in it. They'll take it, and then the stomach acid is actually killing it on its way through your digestive tract. And so since you need it in your intestine, it's great to think that it had 1 billion before it goes in, but if it's not making it there, Shaklee has anywhere from a 98 to 100% delivery rate, whereas other brands have maybe a 5 to 15% delivery rate. And so the Shaklee probiotic is triple encapsulated, which means it's not going to dissolve until it gets through your digestive tract. And so I actually give this to my kids. And we'll talk about kids' health in a minute, but my kids take this. It's tiny, tiny. They can swallow it just fine, and it's really, their immune systems have just skyrocketed this fall. I can't even explain to you how much better they are. And so I think this is probably the biggest reason. The next thing is the prebiotic. The prebiotic complex is a powder, and this is what feeds the probiotics. And so it's great to take probiotics. It's even greater to take probiotics and prebiotics. Either one of them will help you to have more and more good gut health. But the probiotics with the prebiotics are made to work together. So it's basically amplifying the results that you're going to get. And so it's just a powder that dissolves in water. You can barely even taste it. And so those are two of my favorite products. And then this is my all-time favorite product. If you know me at all, you have probably heard me talk about this product. So this is called Vitalizer. And so Shaklee has lots of different vitamins, but what we talked about, the different vitamins, the vitamin B, the vitamin A, the vitamin D, that your body really needs to be able to fight the sicknesses that are coming into you, all of that is within this Vitalizer strip. And so, there's other things that you can get. There's other vitamins that I'll tell you about, but specifically what we're looking for is our bodies to respond quickly to an invader. So when we have something, your body senses a flu bug or it senses something in you. We have these memory cells that are within us, okay? So when your body fights off a sickness, you produce millions of cells, and then they end up dying off. Your body gets rid of them, and you have something in you called memory cells. And so those memory cells are going to always be there to where in the same way. So if you get chicken pox, and you guys have already had chicken pox, your body recognizes the chicken pox. It's going to fight it and then get rid of it. You might not ever even know that you were exposed to that again because your body knows how to fight it. And so this is, the Vitalizer is really going to help because it has, what the B vitamins that are in this, it's going to help your body to recognize those cells, to multiply quickly, and then to get it out of your body. And so that's what's so good about having excess, and good enough B vitamins. And so the Vitalizer strip is my favorite. It's basically, I went through a season of 7 months where my kids weren't sleeping at all, not even they were waking up like 6 or 7 times a night. And when I switched to the Vitalizer vitamins, I felt better that day. It was really incredible. And so it has a multivitamin, a B plus C complex. So it has multivitamin, a B plus C complex. It has a omegas for your heart health, and then also for your immune system. And then the probiotic is within that strip of vitamins. So that's my favorite product of all time. And then this little delivery system, what's so neat about it is that it all dissolves in different places in your body. So you're not like getting a stomach overload of things. And so they're all dissolving where they can best be utilized within your body. And so then if you're cheap like I was for a very long time, or you can't afford it, the Vital E is just our basic multivitamin. It's what I was on for a year and a half, and I noticed such a difference when I started taking it because I'd been pregnant previously and my vitamin levels were very low. And so the Vital E really helped my vitamin levels go up and to really regulate. And so the Vital E is also in the Vitalizer strip that I just showed you, this one. The Vital E is also in there. So that's the multivitamin that's in there. The Vitalizer strip just has other things in it as well. So this is a really great starting point as well. But it has the essential vitamins. So it does have the vitamin A that you need, the vitamin D, and a little bit of the vitamin B as well. It's all within that. So it will help you in your immune system too. It's a great, great product. So this is my favorite. So there was a doctor in Japan who is an immunologist, and he shared a Nobel Prize for his discovery of something called interferon. And interferon is a key component in immune health. And so it essentially it's basically like the conductor of the immune system, and it controls and optimizes all the other components of the immune system. So it's telling your immune system what to do. And then when your immune system doesn't need to work as hard, it basically dampens your immune system so it can rest for when it needs to. And so interferon basically calls natural killer cells into action, and then the natural killer cells are the ones that basically come in, they kill the bacteria and the viruses and the cancer cells. And so when he discovered this, he knew he had found something that was really incredible. And so what he tried to do was to make interferon as a drug, so your body could have more of it. And they genetically engineered something to look like interferon within your body. And what it ended up doing was causing these really bad side effects in people. And so he decided he wanted to try to make something that was more natural. And he basically assembled a research team, and they worked for more than 40 years, and 40 years, and tested over 200 different herbal formulations. And they ended up selecting 4 ingredients that were the most effective at maximizing your body's production of interferon. And so the results of their 40 years of research is a product that's called Nutriferon. It's supported by 4 published clinical studies, and it's been shown to significantly reduce allergy symptoms, to reduce PMS symptoms, and and it even showed to reduce the hepatitis C virus in people by 1/3 in a month. And so Nutriferon is the product that I used to combat my seasonal allergies. And so from the time I was in 6th grade, I've had seasonal allergies, and I've always had to take over-the-counter meds for probably 6 months a year. And the first year when I started taking Nutriferon, I only needed my allergy meds for about 1 month. And then the second year I took Nutriferon, I only needed the allergy meds for about a week. And so within, a little over a year, I was able to go from needing my Zyrtec and my Claritin for 6 months a year to needing it for a week, just from the addition of this product. And so it's a really phenomenal product. But what it also does is it's going to increase the number and the activity of the macrophages that we talked about. And so they are the ones that are going to attack, basically they're going to go attack the bad cells when they come into you, and they destroy the invading bacteria and viruses. And so interferon is going to help your body to do that quicker. And so they destroy cancer cells before they form tumors. And so the macrophages are what sends out the proteins that activate the other cells of the immune system. And so it's just making that response quicker within your body. And so Nutriferon, this product, is actually proprietary to Shaklee, and it has a patent on it, and Shaklee has complete distribution rights to it. And so it's one of those things that you never know when you're going to need to fend off the bacteria. And so it's kind of like nice to be able to wipe out cancer like every day of your life, to be able to, for your body to do that. Elderberry, here it is, Amy. So I feel like elderberry is like all the rage this year. I guess you guys, I don't know. Every time I look on Facebook, somebody's going to the store to buy elderberry for flu that someone has, and so elderberry is actually one that has been shown to work. It is one that is it's actually been shown to reduce the duration of colds and flu if you take it within 1 to 2 days of the onset of symptoms. And so I've seen it. I don't know the exact number of days that it reduces your cold and flu by, but I think it's fairly significant. And so if you are kind of a resourceful type person, you could actually make your own elderberry syrup. If you guys want a recipe for that, let me know, and I can definitely send that over to you. Elderberry can be purchased at probably your local drug food store, your health food store. There's different elderberry supplements and different elderberry syrups. And so, or you can stick with something that's even more simple, which is my all-time favorite Shaklee product, which is called Defend and Resist. I think I said Vitalizer was my favorite. I don't know. It's hard to say. So Defend and Resist is a product that you take when you feel the first tickle of sickness. And so anytime I start getting a sniffly nose or I get that icky feeling, I immediately start taking Defend and Resist. It basically gives your body a temporary boost. And so it's like kind of supercharging your immune system just for the day, just for that to kick that thing. So basically, our body needs to multiply. We have to multiply these cells to be able to fight what's in us, right? And so this is going to help make that response faster. Because if we can basically get these bugs out of us before they manifest themselves too much, then it's going to be in and out of us before we even know it was there. And so in Defend and Resist, it has echinacea, black elderberry, has larch tree extract, and zinc. And there's basically a 4-power combo of things that our body needs to fight. And that's what this product is. I know that some of you guys have used this already and are in love with it, just like I am. So anyone have a testimony about Defend and Resist they want to share? Katie, Sarah? No, Katie? Okay. There's one other.
I have a question for you. Can I ask you about elderberry? Like, I'm with you. I've seen like a million posts about, hey, elderberry syrup is great.
I know.
But I've also seen people give the, oh my God, don't take it, it's horrible. Or if you have a kid or if you're pregnant, like, do you know if there's anything or any group that should avoid it?
Yeah, so what I saw when I was looking into it is that it has not been researched long term. So specifically, elderberry is not one that you should continue taking for long periods of time. And I think that the body of research on pregnant and nursing women is slim from what I understand, but the herbs in general, at least in the Defend and Resist, most doctors tend to give their approval on it for pregnancy and nursing. So that's just my experience with it. But I don't know beyond that anything specific. Anyone else have a question?
I was just going to add that I've also read that taking it long term, people who are just taking it like week after week after week or all month, all flu season long for 4 or 5 months, maybe isn't the best idea. But my husband used it last week. He came home from work with a cold. Not dependent. He used elderberry, and by the next morning, his cold that brought him home from work was gone. It wasn't the flu, but he had some sniffles after that, and we were doing like every 4 hours, and he hasn't taken it since, but it seemed to help, although I gave him millions of other things too, lots of soup and kombucha and vitamin C and I don't know, crazy stuff. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. We've seen it work time and time again. At least Defend and Resist specifically is what we take here, and within hours, we'll see our kids and us just totally knock out something. And so another thing regarding taking it consistently, I'm not sure specifically about elderberry, but echinacea is one that's actually been shown it's not to be good. It's not healthy for you to take it consistently. So if you see a multivitamin somewhere that contains echinacea, then it means to me that they're not doing any research at all, because echinacea is one that, so since it is kind of supercharging your immune system, essentially your immune system is going to get tired. And so it's not something that doesn't help if you continue to take it. It can actually hurt if you take it too long. And so it's one of those products you just take for a short period of time. Echinacea is. But elderberry, I don't think has the same kind of effect. I think it could be taken for a little bit longer than echinacea, but it's just good to know, to look into a little more. Anyone else have any questions or comments about that?
No, I had read that too about echinacea, just that it, not that it's bad for you, just that the effectiveness of it just wears off. Like it's only good for so long, and then it just kind of sits in your system doing nothing. So when you need it, it's there, but it won't work.
Yes, exactly. It's like, what's the point, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will second. I love defend and resist. I do take that.
Yeah, good.
What do you give your kids? Like, what do you give them, the 6 pills, or what do you go with?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to go into kids health next, but we'll go. That's actually the next slide. But we'll talk about defend and resist first because I don't think I have slated to talk about it. So defend and resist. So for my kids, the serving size of defend and resist is actually 6 tablets a day, and so sometimes I take 3 in the morning or 3 at night for myself if I remember, but typically I won't remember twice a day, so I might just take it all at one time if I start feeling like I'm getting sick. But for my kids, I give them 1 or 2. I have a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old. And so I give them 1 or 2, and that's just how I do it, Sarah. So typically I give, I'll give our 2-year-old, I'll just give her 1, and then our 3-year-old, I'll give her 2. Sometimes I'll just give her 1 at a time, like 1 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon for defend and resist. And they typically can knock stuff out within, I'm talking like within 24 hours. They're better. And so, I'll just to tell you a little bit about my kids. Last fall, so 2 falls ago, what was that, 2016? My kids had this crazy cough that lasted for 2 weeks. They had hand, foot, and mouth. They had another cough. And I was just absolutely fed up with kids getting sick. And so then I went to Target. I was currently taking Shaklee vitamins myself. My kids were not. And it's like every time we went out in public, I swear they would get sick, and they'd be sick forever. And I went to Target one day and I'm sitting, in the vitamin section, and here they all are. And I'm like looking at them and I'm totally overwhelmed. First of all, how can there be so many rows of kids' vitamins? And how do they all look like they're natural and they're like organic and they have like leaves on them? And it's like this marketing nightmare, just looking at this. And, but I was so frustrated with my kids being sick. I was so tired of it. I was like, I will do anything. I will pay anything to have them well. And so, I was tired of myself being inconvenienced, to be honest, and it's just scary to have your kids sick. And I left Target that day. I didn't buy anything. Because I was like, I know what company to trust. I know who I trust for my vitamins. Surely they have stuff for kids too. And that was when I ended up in that process of looking for stuff for my kids. I ended up becoming a Shaklee distributor just because I was interested and I was convinced that the company was like so much better than anything that was out there. And so since that time, my kids started taking the Incredivites. So this is the slide about the Incredivites. And basically, it has all the vitamins that your kids are going to need. It also has a product called lactoferrin. And lactoferrin acts like a prebiotic in their body. It's a product that is in moms, like in breast milk, that there is lactoferrin in there, and it ends up being, it's a probiotic that your kids are getting. And so lactoferrin in the kids' vitamin is acting like an immune booster is what it's doing. And so the Incredivites don't have any artificial colors or sweeteners or flavors in them. My kids do love them so much. And so this is the first product that we started out with for our kids. The next thing that we added, so that was, a whole year, about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And then in August, kind of starting to head into the cold and flu season, I just decided that this is the year that I was willing to pay a little bit more money and have them well. And so then we added in a probiotic. And so they each take 1 vitamin, they take a probiotic, and they take a vitamin C. And since we have added this into them, to their life, they have barely gotten sick at all. And so it has been incredible to see. They might get something, they fight it in the day. Maybe a month and a half ago, our daughter Jane was just like, I'm talking like crazy sick. I thought she had the flu, like that type of sick. She was, had a fever, was lethargic, slept all day. Like I'd never had a kid this sick, never. Just like slept on me all day. took a 4.5 hour nap one day, and she threw up multiple times. Like, I don't know what's more flu-like, like, I don't know. It was bad. And then she had it for 2 days, and then woke up the third day, 100% normal, and just totally, totally fine. And I feel like that's the type of things that we've seen in them, is if they get sick, they fight it quickly. And so it's been a really big improvement to a year ago when they were having a cough for an entire 2 weeks. And so I also give them a chewable vitamin C. And so the thing that's good about a chewable vitamin C is it tastes really good. And they also, they're just getting the extra vitamin C. So one thing to know about vitamin C is that, so like, let's say you start feeling like you're getting sick, you can take extra vitamin C, but it's not going to help. You have to have vitamin C in your body on board, basically, before you get sick. And so there's been 31 studies that indicate that vitamin C reduces the duration and the severity of cold symptoms. And if you combine it with exercise, it reduces the incidence of cold in half. It actually cuts it in half just by having extra vitamin C in your body. And so Shaklee has a sustained release vitamin C, and that's what's in the Vitalizer strip. And what's good about that is that your body constantly needs to replenish that vitamin C throughout the day. So whether you're eating oranges multiple times a day or that you have a sustained release, it's going to really help. The sustained release is going to help your body to continue to fight throughout the day. And so then the last one I want to talk about is the garlic complex. This is more of a, like, maybe not to prevent you from getting sick. This is more of a natural remedy, which there's a lot of natural remedies I'm choosing not to talk about tonight. But garlic is basically like nature's antibiotic. And so it was used a lot before antibiotics were around. And so we've seen garlic specifically has helped clear up one of my daughters. She had a urinary tract infection. And so garlic essentially was what we gave her. And it really helped her to clear up her UTI just through the use of garlic and not having to take an antibiotic. And so one thing, I think I touched on this earlier, one of the biggest things that really hinders our ability to fight things is the overuse of antibiotics currently, because our bodies, it kills off so much of the bacteria in our body that then we don't have any good bacteria left to fight either. And so if you do have to take an antibiotic, it's super important to really replenish with a probiotic and start to build up the bacteria again. And so I just wanted to throw this slide in there just because it talks about the Shaklee medals from the Olympics, just because it's Olympic time right now. And so Shaklee has over 137 medals from the Olympics. And I think over 10% of the athletes that are in the Winter Olympics right now are Shaklee, that are all Shaklee athletes. And so just fun to know. I think that's kind of cool. And so Shaklee has a 100% satisfaction guarantee. And so everything is safe. It's all proven. It's all effective. And if you don't like anything, just tell me and you'll get your money back, which is kind of fun. And so that's kind of a fun offer. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the business opportunity. So for us, the business started off as a way to get my products at a discount and just to start building a sustainable income from home. But what I've found has been so much more than that. It's really given us, some financial freedom, and it's growing more and more for us, the financial aspect of it. The biggest surprise for me is it's given me this sense of community with the people that I work with. So whether it's customers or it's the different distributors that I work with, our team of people is just incredible. And it's the people that I go to and that I ask questions to, and that, when you're struggling with something, they're the people that you call. And so that was a big surprise for me. And I think Shaklee has really started to help me dream again, to really, I have a dream board of things that I want in life and where we're headed as a family. And currently, we're working to earn a cruise, and we're going to be going on a cruise for free next year, like all expenses paid. And it's been fun for us to start dreaming again and to really be able to find purpose. And I think my biggest hesitation to starting a Shaklee business was to feel like I'm selling stuff to people. And I think I truly, every single day, I love the fact that I feel like I'm helping people, but I'm not selling products. My goal is not for you guys to buy anything, for you to, it's really not my goal. But if people, start feeling better about their life, if they start feeling better physically, and we start getting sick less, and, we're starting to take a hold of our health and to be, I guess, everything that we want to be, to me, that's worth it, and so that's kind of how I view my job, and what I love about it. And so, does anyone have any questions or anything that comes to mind or that you want to share.